There was one possession where I got it in the pinch post area, right where Kobe operates, right where I've watched many film of his footwork, and you know, that's his kill zone.
Playing against Booker tonight, I mean, he went straight to my move. The first time he caught it, dude, yeah, you're not gonna beat me on my move, man. Like, you know, but I mean, it was great to see. It was absolutely great to see. And
you know, I think I gained a little respect from him, you know, by just going right at him and going right to his move. And you know, that's what he told me immediately after the game. So that was a story of, you know, matching up for the first time against Kobe.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, now you do.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm back with another video. This time we're going to talk about one of these standout players in the 2021 playoffs, that being Devin Booker. And Booker right now is one of the best players in the NBA, and possibly the best player left in the playoffs. And with Booker being so great, that's brought back a lot of comparisons he had in his early career to Kobe Bryant. And if you didn't know, Kobe was a big-time mentor to Booker, not only on the court, but also off the court. And Devin has said many times that Kobe was his inspiration to play basketball and pursue an NBA career. Now the question I have in this video for you guys is, do you think Devin Booker could be the next Kobe Bryant? And my answer to that question will be yes and no. Yes, in the sense that Booker, he could model his game after Kobe and build off that in his own unique way. And no, in the sense that Kobe, he's a one-of-one talent, a top 3, top 5, or even top 10 player of all time, and those players generally are a one-of-one talent. In my personal opinion, we're never going to see a player quite like Kobe ever in the NBA again. Now, I want to be very clear in me saying that's not disrespect to Devin Booker. He's a great young player, but once again, Kobe, he's one of the all-time greats, the top 0.001% of NBA players, and reaching that level of play is virtually impossible. But once again, Booker in his own unique way, he could be the 2020s version of Kobe, building off what he learned and saw from Kobe in his later career. In this video, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my case as to why Booker could be the next generation's version of Kobe Bryant. Now, before we get into that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure to do so. And if you could like this video, I'd greatly appreciate it. So with that being said, let's get into the video. Now, first up, very quickly, I want to give you guys 8 facts and 8 similarities between Devin Booker and Kobe. And first up, we have the fact that Kobe was drafted June 26, 1996, and Devin Booker was born that same year on October 30th. Next up, we have the fact that Kobe and Booker were both the 13th picks in their drafts. Number 3, both these players had NBA fathers, Kobe's father being Joe Bryant, the 13th pick in the 75 draft, who played 8 years in the NBA, and Devin Booker's father being Melvin Booker, being an undrafted player in 1996 and played 3 years in the NBA. And I think it's a pretty cool coincidence that Booker's father entered the NBA the same year as Kobe, and Kobe's father was the 13th pick just like Booker and just like his son. Now at number 4, both Kobe and Booker, they are shooting guards and both 6'5" or 6'6", depending on who you ask. And looking at both these players and their overall builds, they're not overly intimidating, but they are strong physical players who dominate primarily off skill. Now at number 5, we have the fact that Kobe and Booker in the last 25 years have the 2 highest scoring games. Kobe scoring 81 versus the Raptors, and Booker scoring 70 versus the Boston Celtics. And these two guys are 2 of 10 players ever to score 70 plus points, and 2 of 3 guards ever to reach that 70-point mark. And these high scoring games, Kobe and Booker both had 28 points in the 4th quarter. That ranks 3rd all time for 4th quarter scoring, once again a very unique stat for both these players. Also, one thing that's very unique is that both these players, they started their NBA careers on the bench. Booker didn't start his first game to his 11th game, and Kobe didn't have his first start to his 35th game. And actually in college, Devin was the 6th man for the Kentucky Wildcats. Now next up at number 7, Kobe and Booker were the 2 youngest shooting guards ever to score 9,000 career points. Booker being the youngest and Kobe being the 2nd youngest when they were both 23 years old. Now lastly, these 2 guys are the last 2 players to score 45 plus points on the Lakers' home court. Kobe scoring 50 versus the Suns in 06, and Booker scoring 47 versus the Lakers in 2021. And once again, a funny coincidence, both these players, their career high playoff scoring games come versus the other player's team. And when Booker had 47 versus the Lakers, that was one of the more impressive games I've ever seen from a young player on the big stage versus the defending champions. And lastly, one thing I want to look at is both these players at age 24 and how they played in the playoffs. Kobe in 03 averaged 32.1 points per game, 5.2 assists, 5.1 boards on 43-40 and 83 splits. Booker this year averaged 28.3 points per game, 7.1 boards, 5.3 assists on 48-38 and 93 splits. I would say pretty comparable numbers. I think Kobe was the better player, but once again Booker's not far off from young Kobe. And the one thing from these stats that stand out is that both these players are actually underrated when it comes to passing, as both these players average over 5 assists per game. And specifically looking at Booker this year in the playoffs, he's been tremendous in the big time games. In his first ever playoff game versus the LA Lakers, the defending champions, he had 34 points, 8 assists and 7 rebounds on 50% shooting. In Game 6 versus LA in LA, he had 47 points, 11 boards, 9 assists on 68% shooting. And in Game 4 versus Denver, a closeout game, he once again stepped up, having 34 points, 11 boards, 4 assists on 44% shooting. And the Western Conference Finals, without Chris Paul versus the LA Clippers, he had 40 points, 13 boards, 11 assists on 52% shooting. Now, one thing I want to do very quickly for the eye test, I want to look at both these players and their pre-draft evaluations. Kobe in '96 was the 13th pick, and going into this draft class, his strengths were maturity, his fadeaway, and the fact that he was a born winner. His weak points, that he had no real position, as he played all 5 in high school, his ball handling was suspect, and his strength definitely had to improve. Booker coming in the 2015 draft, his strengths, is that he was a smart player, had a high basketball IQ, was a great shooter, and had a step-back jumper. His weak points, very similar to Kobe, is his ball handling was suspect, he wasn't as strong, and his athletic ability was average at best for an elite shooting guard. So for both Kobe and Booker, they had pretty stable foundations, but they definitely had areas they had to improve on. Both these guys coming in the NBA already had a go-to move, Booker being the step back and Kobe being the fadeaway. They were already smart players, they had a high basketball IQ and very mature for their age, and their weak points, they both weren't great ball handlers, and their strength and athletic ability was questioned at the time. Now for Booker in the last 5 years, he's turned himself into one of the best players in the NBA at his position, one of the most skilled players, and the player I think most resembles Kobe Bryant. And I think the accurate Kobe comparison for Booker is not number 8, it's number 24. As Kobe in his later years, he was more grounded, and his game was built purely off skill. He was still a great athlete, but his fundamentals, his pivot foots, all his ball fakes, they were definitely mastered, and they were at their peaks, I would say in the 08 to 2013 range. And I don't think Devin's at that level yet, but you see flash of it game to game, and you can definitely see the potential for Booker being a young Kobe. And we're looking at the tape of both these players. They're both amazing shot makers, difficult shots, turnaround shots, fadeaways, pump fake, pivots, anything you want. Both these guys from a skill perspective have everything in their bag. And I think for Booker, he's one of the rare players whose game is nearly entirely built off finesse and skill, very similar to Kobe. And much like Kobe, Booker at any point in the game can score from anywhere on the floor. He can go short corner, deep post, he can go elbow, top of the key. Anywhere you want Devin to get a bucket, he can do that versus the elite defenses. And if you want to talk about pure scoring ability, I think Devin Booker already is a top 5 skill player and a top 5 skilled scorer. Up there with guys like Kyrie, Dame, and Steph in terms of overall skill and shot making ability. And like in all my videos, I have the stats to back this up. Now looking at Booker in 2021 and Kobe in 2013, as an overall shot maker from different distances, they are both elite in those categories. Under 8 feet, both these guys shoot 60%, 8 to 16 feet, the mid-range, they're both around 50%, 16 to 24 feet, they're in the low 40s, and 24 plus feet, they're on the 33% mark. And it's pretty interesting that both these guys, it's very, very similar comparing a prime Kobe in 2013 to a young D-Book in 2021. And if you want to get more specific and look at the types of shots they made, pull-ups, step-backs, and fadeaways, as well as turnarounds, once again, it's very impressive from both these players. And these numbers for Kobe actually blew me away, as he shoots 68% on pull-ups, 40% on step-backs, 62% on fadeaways, and 52% on turnaround jumpers. Booker is also very impressive, shooting 47%, 44%, 45%, and astounding 67% on turnarounds. So all in all, Kobe and Booker, their shot making ability is very impressive from anywhere on the court. And I think for Booker specifically, that great shot making ability will make him the best shooting guard of the 2020s, beating out Donovan Mitchell. So that right there is a quick video of my thoughts on Devin Booker and his Kobe comparisons. It is a great play recently, has brought those comparisons back, and I want to address those and give you guys my thoughts. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.